Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to the Tuesday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you tuning us on in as we get into some Bigfoot, Sasquatch talk. Jason Kenzie is here from the beautiful city of Vancouver, British Columbia, and Stanley Park. Even though there's no Sasquatch in Stanley Park. But that's okay. He'll find him if there is. Hey, hello everyone. As we continue on with this wonderful week that we call the mighty SOR. Let's get to roll call, shall we? We have Race Fan in the gold medal position, as per usual. I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you do it. It just drives me cray-cray. I don't even see who's next. My email disappeared. I think it was Tim Mothman and his goatee in the silver with SJ in the bronze. I believe that's how it is. The lovely and talented Kira, how are you? Michael Morris, Chris716, the Radio Wendigo, how are you? Good to see you. As we continue on with our roll call tonight, Robert Lamont, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, Brown Dwarf, and Tim Mothman again. Dino Bravo, what's happening? Dino Bravo will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Thunderhead, good to see you. Kathy Evans, Eternity Eternal. Data, nice to see you all. Hi, Polly Rotterman. Thank you for coming on in. Lisa Smith, thank you for joining us as we continue on with Roll Call, Necessary Dialogue. Number 76 in your program, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson, Norris Trophy candidate right there. Lee the Bee, thank you for joining us. S for Matt, good to see you. Lulu Bell and Millennium, my man, thank you for joining us tonight. We continue on with our roll call. There's Noble Patrick and Jimmy Gonzalez. Thank you both for coming on in. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Hi there, River Morris. River Morris will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. David Hayworth, good to see you. Little Marky Spender, thank you for coming on in. I do have crazy hair today, man. Like, look at that. I look like a miniature troll doll with my hair today. Oh, terrible. Lasso, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. Operation Shutdown. Kurt M., thank you for coming on in. Mama Catherine, mwah! Good to see you, Mama Catherine. I love you. Totally love you. Oob to Joe's Maine, you've got big feats. Matthew Goodka, Kurt M., and who's next? W. David Page. Good to see you all. Scrolling on down. Good morning, Skip to Malou. Richard Minnick. Thank you for coming on in. Sweet Tony D. Good morning to you in the United Kingdom. Algaray over on Twitch. Yep. He ran 17 miles in a new world record, 3 minutes, 58 seconds, all to prepare for tonight's show. Yep. If you don't believe me, who can you believe? Melvin from Mars, Swamp Gas Jenkins, the gorgeous and talented cryptid huntress Jessica Jones. Good to see you all. Thank you for coming on in. Warded Dragon, thanks for joining us. Mike Rivers, good to see you. And Ozzy, oi oi to you. Eli McInnes, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Commonwealth Andrew. Let's get to the radio side. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. Dave Scott here as we talk Bigfoot, Sasquatch with researcher Jason Kenzie. We appreciate him coming on in. We are in the middle of a roll call here, awaiting Bill WD-40. He has disappeared. We don't know where he's lubing right now. Me Woykin, nice to see you. And who's next? Hi, Vanessa, Shadow Seekers Paranormal. Welcome to SOR Chat. Paula Foss, nice to see you. And Bright Beckaboo. Welcome to SOR Chat as well. The Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And if you're new here, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Hi, Glenn John McEnroe, Pride of Wimbledon. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Corey, how you doing? Kitty Cattywhack, thank you for coming on in. Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America. Thank you for making us part of your night. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We've got a great show talking Sasquatch tonight. From Vancouver, British Columbia, Jason Kenzie is here, and we are going to turn up the heat on what is roaming North America's forests. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then hour 3, Steve Stockton will be here from Tales Untold. Jackie Harmon will have the cryptid report as well. Let's get right to it, shall we? Jason Kenzie is an author, director, and animal journalist who has traveled the world immortalizing all kinds of people and their exotic wildlife companions. He also has a documentary series titled Searching for Sasquatch, which streams worldwide on platforms such as Tubi, Amazon Prime Video, and Plex TV. Jason has been investigating the lore of Bigfoot and other cryptids since 2019. With only a camera and a flashlight, Jason doesn't mind jumping headfirst into the darkness, determined to solve the mystery of Bigfoot. Now, Jason, the darkness and the forest brings along a whole different ball game than going into the forest during the day.
Yes,
are you fully on a death wish here, my man, trying to bring yourself to Sasquatch's face in the middle of the night?
Well, I don't believe that you can find these creatures by just sitting at home behind a computer. I believe you have to go right deep into the forest any way possible to find these creatures.
Now, not a lot of people from downtown Vancouver who are more interested in Starbucks, the Keg for a nice steak dinner, and a night out at the Roxy. Maybe a Canucks game if they're actually playing, because nobody supports the Lions, unfortunately. And I'm a giant BC Lions CFL fan. But nobody from Vancouver goes looking for Sasquatch. Yet here you are, a rare breed who, instead of staring at the trees of the North Shore Mountains and Stanley Park, you're actually going into those mountains looking for elusive creatures.
Yes, I am. It's been pretty exciting, some of the stuff that I've captured on film and the things that I've actually seen with my own eyes, things that would probably keep most people up at night. It's just been a roller coaster of emotions. I get scared a lot when I go into the forest. I believe if I was to tell people I don't get scared out there, I would be just lying. And yeah, it's there's so I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to Bigfoot. When I first started, a few years ago, I was probably a 20% believer. Then after, 14 documentaries and many, many expeditions into the forests around North America, I am now up to 50% a believer. And the only reason why I haven't said 100% is because I haven't had that daytime sighting. I haven't had the creature walk up and slap me in the face to, show me that he's 100% real.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm putting out the invite to you to come up to where I am in British Columbia. Make the drive through the canyon, come up to the top of the mountains, and we'll go have some fun looking for the big guy. And I'm putting that out there right now, but and I know you'll take me up on it. I hope
will.
You.
It sounds like a great adventure, and I love 100 Mile House,
Yeah.
that area.
Gorgeous up here. Gorgeous. I literally live in heaven. I was talking to one of my friends just the other day. When I moved up here 9 years ago, I didn't know what to expect. And now I will, outside of moving to my favorite city in the world, which is Las Vegas, I will never move from this area. And I figure I got I'm 51, about another 35 years of life. I'm staying here, man. I'm staying here.
Why not just go to Las Vegas and, in that many years, you have a long time to be able to lose all your money.
Exactly. I do it bit by bit, my friend. Bit by bit. Although at our Reno fan party this year, I actually came home with money. A slot machine actually paid off for me for $1,200 American. So that's about 8,000 Canadian, so that's just the way it is.
You will end up losing money, and possibly I might be able to be losing my life. Because remember, I'm going after creatures that if they wanted to kill me, they just walk up and twist my head off, and that'll be it.
For our listeners who are getting to know you here, how did this quest begin for you in 2019?
Okay, so for over 20 years, I have been an animal photojournalist. So I would travel around the world meeting people that live with the most amazing animals, from tigers, bears, cougars, alligators, monkeys, bobcats, and everything in between. Something I love doing. And I first started out as like doing weddings and events, and then moved on to doing, photographing dogs and cats, and then moved on to bigger animals. And back in 2019, when everything shut down, so did my animal adventures. So I had produced a documentary series called My Animal Adventures, which is basically behind the scenes of my crazy animal photo shoots that I did.
Right.
And 2019, when everything shut down, I wasn't able to do it anymore, and I was driving myself nuts. And then one day my friend said to me, why don't you just do something on Bigfoot? Because he could possibly be an animal. And we laughed and joked at it. And I thought, there might be something there. So I was given someone's name who allegedly had an encounter with a Sasquatch. So I went and I interviewed him. And from there led me to talk to another person. And I decided I started recording and filming and interviewing these people. And then it led to the First Nations people, which in turn, they led me to an area where they believed that the Sasquatch people would come down from the mountains. And when I went into this area, I found hundreds of these footprints that were in the middle of this secluded lake in the middle of the mountains. And I had a drone. So I droned the lake and I could see all the footprints going through it. And when I'm standing there on the shore, and the lake wasn't that big, it just wasn't that big, but I could see all the footprints and the toes. So I took the footage to the First Nation people, and in turn, they said that I had found the migration path of the Sasquatch people going all the way down from Alaska all the way to California. And so this was in the Headley area. And you know,
I know
Headley,
that.
yes. So it was in the in that area, and that started it all. I made my first documentary, searching for Sasquatch, the first one, and that one blew up. And then researchers throughout North America started contacting me and wanting me to come out with them. So they would fly me out and they would take care of me, and they would take me into the forest because they wanted to show me their areas where the Sasquatch people lived. And holy cow, the crazy stuff that happened to me, wow, just blew me away, scared me so bad I was like shaking at points.
And that's such a beautiful area that's mountainous and filled with caverns and caves. And, you know, Headley is almost like a ghost town these days, even though it's rebuilding now. But Headley is in the middle of the mountains. And I actually had a friend of mine, my former roommate, his mom bought one of those scratchy old hotels or motels there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he used to tell me, he goes, "You know what Headley is, Dave?" I said, "What's the band name?" Because there was a band called Headley back then.
Yeah, there was.
And he goes, "No, it's the butthole of British Columbia." And then you look up on the mountain and there's this giant black cave that kind of sits in between what looks like butt cheeks
Yeah, yeah,
up on the mountain. But those caves go on very deep through the mountains in these
yeah.
old
There's a
abandoned.
lot of them there.
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely there is. And I can tell you that that area has had a lot of sightings from Princeton all the way to Karameas, right through to Soyuz. And it's funny because as it transitions, a Soyuz turns into the Okanagan, where there happens to be what? Major UFO sightings through the mountains every year.
That's one of the biggest hotspots is out there in that one area. There's a hotspot where there's people see UFOs all the time. But I'm kind of tired of hearing stories of people that see like little dots in the sky. I mean, we've all seen that. Like I saw a UFO chasing another UFO, and it turned. Like that's how I knew it wasn't a what do you call it, like a satellite, because one was chasing the other one and then it turned and the other one went after it, but it was just little lights in the sky way up there. So I want to see a UFO like 1,000 feet from me land. That's what I want to see, right? I mean, of course, that's the holy grail of everything, right?
Try a landing. That's fun. You know where you can go? Sylvester Road in behind Davis Lake in Mission, British Columbia.
Oh yeah?
Just go back towards Stave Lake. There's apparently, if you talk to the right people, a landing area where the UFOs tend to land.
Wait a second. Huh. I think I've been there actually. So I interviewed a lady. She was an ex-law enforcement officer, and she was coming back from fishing. It took me a long time to get her on film. I had to black her out and change her voice. She didn't want to do it, and I begged her and begged her. Finally, I showed her what I was going to do. I filmed a little bit of her, and I showed her, and she said, "Okay, I trust you." So I was able to get her on film talking about, she was coming back from fishing, and she saw a UFO hovering over trees, and it was really low. And then there was she pulled over, and then there was a big flash, and it was gone. And then out of the forest came these two giant Sasquatches walking towards her. And we're talking like 100 yards, 200 yards. Like it wasn't that far away. She was so scared that she just put her vehicle in gear and just took off. And she never really talked about it. She only told a couple people. And she, to this day, and it's been quite a few years, she still doesn't want people to know who she is because she's afraid of being ridiculed by her other police officer friends. So that was the area. What you just told me, that was the area where she saw the UFO and these Sasquatch creatures. So it's interesting. I should go and check that out. Right now, within the last month, I just got a report from some people who heard howling and screaming and growling in the forest behind their property in Merritt. So I'm thinking of taking a drive up to Merritt to go and investigate and to go and interview these people, and then go into the forest there to see if I can find any evidence.
Well, if you're heading up to Merritt, you're only another 2 hours north to me.
Yes.
So you might as well just keep on going
Keep on going.
And hang out with us, man. I mean, why not? We love talking Sasquatch around here. And you know what's funny is the best people I have learned to speak about this subject here in British Columbia, Jason, logging truck drivers.
Yes. Yes.
They see everything.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not just logging truck drivers in British Columbia. It's in Washington State, Oregon, California, anywhere where there's a logging industry. Those truckers coming down the mountains in the middle of the night, because they prefer to drive during the early morning than the day, it's safer. They see a lot. I talked to one truck driver here that he was watching a creature. He couldn't quite make it out. He thought it was a bear, but it was running on two legs beside him as he was driving down the logging road. This thing was cutting in and out of the trees. And it was keeping up to him. He was probably doing about 30 miles an hour down this logging road, fully loaded. And this thing was starting to scare him.
Wow. So I talked to a truck driver who was going through, what was that place just outside of here, out by the park. What's that park down over here again, way over, going towards Hope? It slipped my mind at the moment. What's that?
Manning Park?
Manning Park. He was going through Manning Park down by Sunshine Valley. And he said he saw two like deer being like in the snow being chased. Like all of a sudden there was this poof of white and these deer ran across the road. And all of a sudden, poof, these two Sasquatches came out from nowhere and landed on the highway chasing after these deer. And of course he put the brakes on. And I tried so hard to get him to go on camera to talk about it, but I wanted so badly to put this in one of my documentaries, but he said no. And I had to respect his wishes. So
I don't blame him.
Yeah. So I held him down and, torched him until he told me.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope so. Tickled his feet with feathers.
Pretty much, yes.
Bad torture. Jason Kenzie is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Jason, we got about 5.5 minutes before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour on the show as we talk Bigfoot and Sasquatch. You've developed a real love for this story. And this creature. You've developed a real passion for it. Did you ever think when you got started in 2019 that you would be finding yourself addicted to try and figure out what this thing is?
No, I had no idea. I kind of went into it kind of joking, like not taking it too seriously. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, these creatures, there's a huge possibility that these creatures are real. And because I love a good mystery, and I've made some very good friends throughout the Bigfoot community since doing this, and interviewing the people are so interesting. And some of them are as crazy as I am. And yeah, it's just been, so I never saw it coming. I had no idea that I would be where I am now. Almost like a real life monster hunter, because I'm not stopping at Bigfoot. I'm actually going to be researching Dogman and Mothman and other cryptids. I want to go to Mexico and see if I can find evidence of the flying dinosaurs that are allegedly flying around around the skies of New Mexico.
The roping.
Yeah, the pterodactyl, the parasaurus.
You know, you don't have to leave British Columbia for both the Dogman and the roping, right?
Here in BC.
There is a First Nation up north of Prince Rupert. There's a triangle.
Yes, the
And
British Columbia Range.
that triangle goes from the tip of Alaska into British Columbia, down over to New Zealand, over to the Tex-Mex border, and then back up where these alleged roping pterodactyl fly.
Oh, yeah?
And apparently, and there is a book about it. I apologize. The author's name has erased from my memory,
How
unfortunately.
could you?
I know. But apparently this First Nations reserve has had people taken as food by these pterodactyls.
Yeah, so in New Mexico, I've heard. I'm going to be interviewing a couple of people who said that their dog was taken by one, and that
Mhm.
one of their kids was picked up and carried a little ways and then dropped. So it'll be interesting. I didn't know they were in BC though. No
Yes.
one ever told me that. So I better hit the books and do some phone
Yeah.
calls.
Javier from Cryptid 559 in California, he was within 100 feet of one that was standing on a riverbank.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So how big was it?
He said it was pretty big. I can hook you up with him because he's usually in our YouTube audience watching. He might pop in tonight. We got 2 minutes to go here before we got to go to break. But Dogman, come up to my area.
Yeah.
The east side between the Timothy Mountains, Big Timothy and Little Timothy.
Yeah.
We call it the 500 road around here.
Well,
there's been Dogman sightings along there.
Well, I just got back. I did almost 2 months expedition to 5 different locations, and I just finished filming 5 Bigfoot documentaries. Actually, 4 Bigfoot documentaries and 2 paranormal documentaries.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking, as you were saying that, man, I must sound desperate to get you up here because I've said that about 5 times already in this first half hour.
Well, I would love to come up, and I would love to maybe do a documentary on your group and you and the research you guys are doing out there, and just the adventure going off into the forest.
Sure.
That would be great. I would love to do that with you. And we have to plan this and have to try and figure out when I can do this because I'm being pulled in so many different ways at the moment. But I want to make it happen though.
Well, you know what? It's hard for a lot of people to believe that anybody in this planet is being pulled to look for Sasquatch around North America. You're literally a monster hunter. Does your business card say monster hunter on it? Be honest.
No, not at all. But if there's any chance that I can go out there and film you being taken by one of these creatures, I need something for fail.com. So this would be so much fun. Yeah,
Let's go. Well, we're going to try and get it done. My group is going to try and get it done this weekend, and I've been told I need to stay away from the aliens if the aliens show up, but I see Bigfoot coming at us or around us. I'm going for it. I mean, I could just imagine, and I've said this before, I could just imagine if it rips my arm off and beats me to death with it, I could just imagine going up to the pearly gates of heaven and St. Peter standing there saying, "That was an awesome death. Come on in."
Or how did you die? Well,
Exactly. Jason, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. I'm having so much fun tonight talking Sasquatch with researcher, documentary filmmaker, Jason Kenzie. You can find his work all over the internet and on channels like Tubi TV and Amazon Prime. Looking for Sasquatch around North America. We'll get into Jason's encounters when we return on Spaced Out Radio.
All
All right, we are clear.
Well, that
Good
was
start, man.
Yeah, that
Good
was good.
start. You know,
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I hope people are liking it.
fast, eh?
Yeah, that was fast. Yeah, that was good. You know, you're good at what you do.
Well, that's what happens when you had a face for radio, my friend.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Face the radio. That's why I'm in it.
I remember going into broadcasting school, and I was told that by one of my instructors, "I'm surprised you made it in here." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because you got a face for radio and a voice for print."
That's funny. That's funny. Well, you know, yeah, I don't like what I look like on film. I don't even like what I sound like, but I do it anyway because I know that other people see it differently, and I shouldn't let my insecurity get, get in the way,
Oh, I know.
especially if it can, bring joy to so many people, at my expense. I mean, have you
Right?
seen any of my documentaries?
I have caught portions of a few of them.
There's 14 of them, and
I
soon there'll
know.
be 20.
If you saw how little time that I actually have in life,
Yeah, I hear you.
you'd be thankful that I've actually caught a little bit of a couple of them.
You should watch a full one so you can get a gist of what I want to do with you,
I'll do that. I'll do that.
right? That way you'll see kind of how I'm filming it and how I'm going through. I mean, if you can line up a few eyewitnesses I can interview, I don't really like to put too many talking heads in my
Yeah.
documentaries, but I do know the talking heads do lead the story.
Yeah.
So I usually put like 3 or 4
We can
talking heads.
we can figure it out.
And yeah, if you have do you have ATVs or anything? How do you go in?
Side by sides,
Oh,
Jeeps.
perfect.
We're ready.
Yeah, it'd be perfect. Yeah, I'd come out, do some filming, come out with you. You can show me your spots there. And yeah, I think that would be a blast to do.
Oh yeah.
We film each other stumbling in the woods because that's what I do. Just I can trip here, trip there.
Oh, you have to. You
And if the
totally.
creatures come around, I mean, that's the best. I am one of those researchers that do howl and do wood knocks. And there's a
Cool.
method to my madness,
Sure.
and it works. It usually
Fine
does
by
work.
me. Fine by me. Our area, we have built a little bit of trust up with this group. I don't know how many there are. I know there's a minimum of 2, and we do everything the same when
Oh,
we are
yeah.
there. Everything the same. We park in the same spots. Our campfire area is in the same spots. Our lawn chairs are in the same spots. And when it gets dark at night, I don't want to use the term call them in,
Yeah.
but pretty quickly you will know where they are.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what I do the howls because I'm letting them know I'm there. And I know some people say, well, they already know you're there. I'm like, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but what if they're 5 miles away or 5 kilometers away and they just quite don't know that we're there yet? So when I do a howl, it's almost as if one's eating.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? And then they go and investigate. And I
Yes.
truly do believe that it's either Bigfoots that have been kicked
Yeah.
out of the clan, or that they're young. And
Yeah.
just like us as teenagers,
They're
I
curious.
mean, we've all jumped off the window out a window at night and went
Yep.
galloping around the streets, right? And
Yes,
I
we have.
think these young ones do the same thing. They're curious, no matter how much the parents tell them, don't go near these naked weirdos. All they do is stare at our feet.
Our area it's like a highway for animals. We were there. We only got about 30 seconds here, but we were there last weekend or the weekend before last, pardon me. And there were wolf tracks, coyote tracks,
Nice.
moose
That's
tracks, bear scat, deer all over the place,
Oh, that's
uh,
awesome.
sandhill crane tracks, everything. Hold on right there. Remember, everybody, the super chat is open, and you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag. Here we go. Go at the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. One of the things I love about being the captain of this show is I love talking Sasquatch. Jason Kenzie is here. He's a researcher and filmmaker looking for the elusive Bigfoot. We'll get to him momentarily. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And we're on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Filmmaker, documentarian, researcher, Jason Kenzie is here. He's looking for Bigfoot. Doesn't know where to find it, but if he hears of a hot spot, by golly, he's traveling to it. Doesn't matter if it's in the middle of New York or the middle of British Columbia, where we are, and every corner in between of North America. Jason, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
You have been to numerous hot spots, filming and trying to find evidence of Sasquatch. To this date, what is the best evidence you have seen? And how did it happen?
Well, I went to the UP of Michigan, and that was one of my first investigations. I was taken out there, and we found this giant tree X. So this X was massive, 25 feet tall. These logs were massive. And there was a big log put on top. So me, being the smartest guy on the planet, I'm like, turn to all the researchers and say, hey, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to put a hammock underneath the tree X. I'm going to sleep there. And of course, they're all like, you're crazy. We believe that the X stands for don't go past here. This is our territory. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So that night, first off, when we were walking toward, so it was like, must have been midnight, and we're walking towards for the end of the night to go to bed. And we started smelling this really bad odor. Like, it was terrible. It was like my feet times 100. Like right now. Geez, I should put my feet down. But yeah, so it went away really fast. As soon as it got there, it was gone. Then I tucked myself in, and like 2:30 in the morning, I'm lying there and I hear a crack in the forest, and I wake up and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I feel I hear it coming, and it's walking. And as it's walking, I feel the vibration of each footstep off of the hammock, the line of the hammock off the tree. And I'm like, oh, what is that? And it stops probably about 15 feet from me, and it grunted in my ear. It was like, and I was like, whoa. And I could feel the vibration off the grunt. And I started getting, so I was so scared that I started shaking uncontrollably. And I'm trying so hard to stay still, because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it won't know that I'm in here. Because I'm thinking, is it a bear? Is it a wild pig? Maybe, like, I didn't know what it was. But all I was thinking is, if it's really a Bigfoot, it might just hit me on the head. I'm already wrapped up like a burrito, so I could just put it over his back and just walk off into the forest. So it turned and it started walking away, and I could still feel the vibration. So then I yell out to my friend Dave, who I thought maybe it was him. And I called out, and Dave goes, "Yes, Jason, what is it?" And I unzipped really fast, going, "Okay, it's Dave." And I get out of my hammock and I go over, and about 15, 20 feet away, Dave is bundled up, leaning against a tree. I'm like, "Was that you walking around?" He's like, "No, Jay, I was sleeping until you yelled out." I'm like, "No way." So we spent around looking for it. And we looking for feet, like footprints. Couldn't find nothing. But yeah, that was quite terrifying for me. So the UP was also, Michigan was another time where I came around a bunch of bushes and walked right up 20 feet from this creature that was standing probably about 7 feet tall. And it by the time I pushed record on my 4K video camera, it ducked down behind these bushes. And I stood there watching it look back and forth, very ape-like. I could only see the eyes, the shining of the eyes, as it was just peeking behind the bushes. And all I'm thinking is, because everyone kept saying, "Oh, they must be young," and the parents, I'm thinking the parents might come up behind me and just hit me on the top of the head. So I'm standing there freaking out. And then I called some of my friends that I was with to come over. And as we moved towards where it ran off into the forest. And it was taking down branches. It wasn't trying to avoid it. It was just taking them down as it was running. I still can't say it was a Bigfoot creature, but some people say it was an owl. And I'm like, well, seeming I know some stuff about animals, owls, like birds, don't usually touch the ground. They don't. I mean, other than, like ducks and geese. But most animals, most birds will not touch the ground unless they're eating. That's the only time. And the reason for that is because everything that will kill a bird lives on the ground. Most animals that will kill a bird will be on the ground. So birds don't usually just hang out on the ground. So you're telling me that it's an owl that was up high and they decided to fly closer to me on the ground? No, it doesn't make sense. And the eyes stayed on me the whole time, even when it ducked down behind it. So yeah, that was pretty scary at that point. But I have that on video. And you can actually watch it at one of my documentaries, number 6. You can what lurks in the darkness. That is, I think that's number 6. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've come across.
In your history now of the last number of years researching this, have you found that in different areas of North America, this creature seems to have a different attitude? I've talked to many researchers who believe that, the Western Sasquatch on the West Coast seems to be very docile. In the South, it seems a little bit shorter, stockier, more aggressive. Have you noticed that in your research too?
Well, hey, Dave, I'm still here. And I just got back from Florida researching the skunk ape. And these creatures, they come around and they either huff or they roar or do you want to hear a roar that was captured in Minnesota?
Sure.
Okay, I'll show. I don't know how good you'll be able to hear this, but this was captured. So the answer to the question is, usually I'm pretty deep in the mountains and the forest and surrounded by these creatures howling and screaming at me. And in different areas of North America, the West Coast, the East Coast, the middle, and I'm still alive, meaning if these creatures wanted to kill me, they would have done it. There's no running. I have 2 rules when I team up with people, and I'll tell this to you, Dave, too. If I go out with people and I'm going to do one of my documentaries and do the filming, there's 2 rules. Number one, no hoaxing, no making stuff up. I really want these creatures to be real. The whole point of me going after these creatures is because I want them to be real, and I love the mystery and the adrenaline, right? So I tell people, do not throw stuff and make it believe that there's something there. That's number one. Number two, if something happens in the forest, don't run, because I won't run. I will be scared, but what are you going to do if you're going to run? We're in the middle of the forest, right? These creatures are going to, if they're going to harm us, they're going to do it no matter what. So we're better to be in together, side by side. We're going to either die together, right? So I'll show you these roars that were captured. And actually, maybe you'll be able to figure out what these might be, okay? So here we go. This is a small one, okay? Sorry, this is a short one. You hear that last bit? It went, right?
Yeah.
So imagine that coming out of the forest at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So that's a short one. And here's a longer one. And it has 5 of them, 5 or 6. They're all going berserk. You hear that one in the background?
Yes.
Either it's mad or injured. Here it comes. My joke was it was giving birth. Then after it gave birth, they all celebrated. It's not coyotes. So when
you made an interesting comment right at the end. You said it's not coyotes.
No.
And the reason why is those who are uneducated, even myself, that is not very educated. I'm learning because I got my buddy Mark, who's teaching me all of this stuff to do with animals out in the wild, even though he wants to use me as bait. But I know he's listening, so I'll throw out that little joke on him right there. But here's the big thing that most people don't understand. If you're a critic of Sasquatch, you have to learn before you go into the forest. You have to learn what a coyote sounds like, a bear sounds like, a mountain lion, a fox, a deer that's injured, a lynx, a moose. You have to learn the creatures of that area and what they sound like before you can sit there and say that's Sasquatch. And a lot of people don't do that. They're just like, oh, that sounds like a bear or a mountain lion roaring or maybe a wolf or something along those lines. But if you know what the calls sound like, you know the difference between a Sasquatch and a cougar that's growling.
Or even a bobcat. If you ever heard a bobcat, they have a blood-curdling scream.
Yes.
When I was in Texas, I was with a research group, and we were surrounded by these creatures howling and screaming and roaring at us all around us. And we're not talking about just for a minute. We're talking, it went on for like an hour. And I went to interview a guy who said that he shot and possibly killed a Bigfoot. So we went to the spot where he had shot this Bigfoot, and when he pulled up in his truck, I don't know whether he put it was like 3 a.m. He showed up in his truck. I don't know whether he cut off the muffler or if he added something, because the muffler was the loudest muffler, and he had all the windows down on his truck, and he was blasting. He must have had everything up to 100 volume, like death metal, like kill, kill, die, 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 kill, like just loud, blasting it. As soon as he showed up at the spot where he allegedly had shot and killed this Bigfoot, the entire forest came alive with roars, screams. Even coyotes were going at it. And I was so excited when the coyotes were howling next to these these unimaginable roars and screams and howls, because I could tell the difference between the coyotes and these creatures, which I loved. I loved because I could, oh, that's a coyote. Oh my, what the hell is that? No, that's not coyote sound. So, anyone that spent any time in the forest will know what a coyote sounds like. For one thing, they do a yup yup right before they do a howl. They just go right into a yup yup, and then they go into the howl. Where these creatures, these unimaginable creatures, they just go straight into the howl. Us humans, we always go from low to high. We're like, oh, right? We always go from low to high. It's hard for us to go, whoo, like go right into it. These creatures, they don't go from low to high. They go straight into the howl, like one level. And then they end it too. They end it instantly. Where us humans, it's really hard, if not impossible, for us to go straight from right into it. And we could possibly do it if we were consciously trying to do it. But when you're out there in the forest and you're just doing it, you're not training yourself to try and do it.
That is very true. What do you think their communications are saying? I mean, to us, it sounds like a bunch of roaring and a bunch of
Yeah,
whooping and hollering.
yeah.
What do you think they're saying?
Yeah, they're possibly saying, damn it, there's that blonde guy with the camera again. I'm going to eat him first. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what they're saying. Okay, so actually, that's a lie. What I'm going to say is, a lot of times, we always get like a whoop or like a howl to let the other creatures know that humans have just entered into their domain. So I think a lot of times when they're howling, they're actually talking about us being in the area at the beginning, before they say we're going to eat that blonde-haired guy with the camera.
I'm going to ask you a little bit of a woo question here. With your experiences now, I believe everything has energy attached to it. When you go into the forest now, can you feel if they're around? Can you feel their energy?
Honestly, well, I don't know. That's a hard one. The thing is about the human psyche is we get scared easy. We can make ourselves scared, right? So if we go into the darkness of the forest, if you don't stay focused, you can make yourself get scared. So you can make you can accidentally go right into the, like, oh my God, it feels really creepy all of a sudden. I'm not saying that these creatures don't have a vibration that will cause us to get scared. There's been thousands of documented cases in the paranormal world where spirits or energy has, brought people to anger, to tears, right? So if these creatures, they do have some kind of a vibration in their voice, a something that does cause you to get scared, right? The infrasound that comes that you don't hear, very similar to tigers and elephants and whales, and my ex-girlfriend, right? Used to scare me all the time. She'd
Well, I think my ex-mother-in-law was related to the Wendigo, so we have something in common. Oh, oh. But that's for another conversation, another time. We got 3.5 minutes before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour. Jason Kenzie is our guest tonight, talking Sasquatch all night long with us. Jason, for you, the encounter of a lifetime would be what?
Well, obviously, if a Sasquatch had just come out into the daylight, 100 feet away from me, to just show me that they're real. I do have an idea how we can actually prove that they're real without killing one. Because people get photos, people get video of allegedly, but it's always like, oh, it's hoaxed. It's people go, well, we need a body to prove that it's 100% real. Well, I have an idea what we can do that we don't need to kill one. And when we come back from the break, I will give you guys my opinion and my idea.
Well, what about that argument? Is we got 2.5 minutes to go.
Oh,
What about that? Yeah, what about that argument where people say the only way we're going to prove its existence is if we have a body?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not out there to try and kill one, for sure. Maybe jump on its back and ride it, like I did with the ostrich, or that giant pig, which didn't go over very, very well. Here's the thing. Number one, if a Bigfoot steps out in front of you and you're filming with your camera, do not turn off the camera at all. From the time that you start recording, you don't turn it off. Walk towards the creature. I know it sounds crazy, but I've interviewed, because, oh, it's a big monster, it's going to kill you. Well, I've interviewed so many people who said that these creatures will just run off. And with my experience, they've all seemed to run off. So if you walk towards it with the camera rolling, it's going to run off. Make a note of where it was standing and looked at the branches above its head with the camera still rolling. That's key right there. I don't care if you put it down by your leg and you're walking, you don't turn the camera off. You get up to that spot and then you take a measurement. Obviously, you want to be filming that. If you find a footprint, that's a bonus. But the camera must always be rolling 24/7. I don't care if you're there for 2 hours. The camera has to stay rolling the whole time. Once you can show people that, look, this is where the creature was. It shows he's 9 feet tall. There's no one on this planet that's 9 feet tall. I don't care who. There's no one, right? So if you can say there's a guy and then he walks off into the forest, and if you get a footprint, if you can have the camera rolling, people will watch for 3 hours of your leg, as long as you have the beginning of the video and the end of the video. Because all these videos of these alleged Sasquatches, it's always cut, right? Oh, someone breaks into my house and steals the footage. Oh, how ironic. So we don't have the end of the video. You know what I'm saying? Right? So I think that if you get all three of those, the video camera, the footprint, if there's one, but the measurement to show people that this, whatever was standing there, and it shows that on video walking off, I think that is a way to prove that Sasquatch is 100% real without killing one.
Jason, on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Jason Kenzie with us for another hour on Spaced Out Radio, talking Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Where are the hot spots? We'll find out next on the Mighty SOR. Stay tuned. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we are clear, my man.
Oh,
We are
nice.
clear.
Nice.
I'm
You
gonna
don't,
take
you
a quick
don't mind
break.
if I run to the bathroom for a sec? Is that
I'm
okay?
gonna put you back in the green room. I'll be right back. When you see me back here, we'll get going. I'll be right back, everybody. right, we are back. We got about 45 seconds. Sweet Donnie Cho, how you doing? Hi, Ozzy Ange. How's it going? And let's see here. Who else has come in here that I haven't seen? I think we're caught up. Purple Cupfish, nice to see you. Bring Tim back or Jason back in.
Hey, I was reading the comments.
Still waiting for our first super chatter. But for everybody else who has decided to hit subscribe and ring that bell, we really appreciate it. And our store is open. spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. Let's go. Here we go with the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears, especially when we're talking Bigfoot. Oh, yeah. I love the topic of Bigfoot. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America. We really do appreciate you tuning us on in and making us part of your evening. So thank you very, very much. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the Space Travelers Club. Galericulate. Galericulate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Jason Kenzie is a researcher, documentarian, filmmaker, all in the name of Bigfoot. He's traveled all over North America to some of the hottest spots where people have had sightings and encounters, and he's here to share those stories with you tonight. Jason, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Dave, thanks for having me here. I'm also a publisher of a comic book called Searching for Sasquatch and the Hidden Treasure of Bigfoot Valley.
Thank you for sharing that. I very much appreciate that. Where can our listeners find that?
You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com. And yeah, you know what? If people just Google my name, Jason Kenzie, animals, or Jason Kenzie Sasquatch, they will find all my animal adventures. They will find all my Bigfoot documentaries and other great little materials I've done over the years.
Wow, that's amazing. Right before the break, we were talking about, some of the places you have traveled. What's been the most memorable place that you have come across so far?
So I was in the Florida swamps searching for, the skunk ape. That was a pretty exciting time. The storms, the thunderstorms and the lightning storms were just absolutely amazing there. The creatures, I found tons of tree structures in the middle of the swamp, so the middle of the forests. If I wasn't walking into giant spider webs or stepping over armadillos, I was checking out all these tree structures. But that was a pretty amazing place. But Texas, I would say Texas was pretty incredible. We're on the border of Louisiana and Texas. And that's the one where they all screamed around me. So that was probably one of the most amazing experiences. There's so many of them, but that is one I'll never forget.
Are you still, when you go onto these adventures, in the path of feeling fear and danger from these creatures?
Sometimes. The thing is, when I'm in the forest and I hear things walking around. For one, I have to make sure it's not a chipmunk, because, you know, when your imagination goes crazy, a chipmunk can sound like an elephant through the forest. So once you figure out that what you're listening to isn't just a small little rodent or a small little animal, I don't know. Obviously I'm still alive, so I guess these creatures don't want to kill me yet. But I get scared of my own shadow, you know, when I'm out there, because you jump at almost everything. At least I do.
What about the idea of having rocks thrown at you? Have
So
you had that happen?
yeah, I was just in Pennsylvania, and only a few weeks ago there was an eyewitness that said they saw this huge hairy creature walking on two legs cross the road into the forest. So we went there, we went to the area, and when we got there, I could not believe how remote that this area was. Like the nearest house, or I should say the nearest houses, were probably about 2 miles away. And it was a railroad track that crossed a road. And we walked down the road. This is at night. And right away, there was things that were throwing rocks at us. They were huffing in the forest. They were like going, woof, woof, woof. We even caught on thermal two photographs of this big thing that came out of the forest, walking along the tracks. And it went so fast that we only had enough time to take 2 photos of it. But you can clearly see, when you see us, we have little white heads in the thermal, because our heads were the hottest. And whatever came out onto the forest was huge, and it was either naked, like either it was a naked person, which in this day and age, maybe, but other than that, or it was this giant, one of these big creatures. But it was incredible. And yeah, we had rocks thrown at us and pebbles. They were mostly pebbles. I don't know why they do pebbles and not just rocks, right? This is what I think. I also think that if these creatures wanted to kill you with the rocks, they would, because we're talking about creatures that live in the forest, that grew up in the forest, and I believe they use rocks to help kill their animals, right, by throwing the rocks. So they probably have the most amazing aim. So when you hear people say that, oh, a rock came flying over my shoulder, or it hit the ground beside me, you know, they didn't have the best aim. I think they just didn't want to kill you. I think they were just wanting, I think they just warning you. I think when they start roaring at you, I think that's the time to kind of back away and kind of get out of the area.
Yeah, they seem to be very accurate with it, because the rocks, for the most part, from what I've heard, I've only ever had one rock thrown at me, and it was in an area where we felt they were around, but we didn't find any evidence, and we had been to that area a number of times. We even had a toy gifting site.
Are you sure it wasn't your ex-mother-in-law that was throwing the rocks at you?
God, I hope not.
No.
I hope not. Yeah, I didn't see her pterodactyl wings sprouting out in the trees.
So how close did the rocks get to you?
It was about 10 feet away. It was closer to my truck than to us. But when rock hits rock, it makes a very distinctive sound.
Yeah.
And being on a gravel logging road, when the rock hit the rock, we didn't see the rock. We only heard it. Our backs were facing the area which was struck by the rock. It was about 6 feet in front of my truck. You know, we don't know which direction it came from. We don't know anything. We just heard it. The rock hit the ground, and by the time we turned, the rock, whatever rock it was, had stopped. But I mean, they do seem to be accurate. If they want to hit you with the rocks to get you out of their area, they could. But I'm wondering if it's almost like a type of communication, like, hey, you're in here looking for me. I'm right here. I'm
Yeah.
not going to show you where I am, but I'm going to let you know I'm here.
See, and that's another thing that I find quite interesting. If these creatures never made a sound, we would not even know they're there. There's been times where we've been sitting around a campfire and 2 hours go by and nothing happens. And so I decided to get up and do a howl. And of course, a couple of the researchers that were there, said, "Oh, that's stupid. Don't do a howl. It's dumb." I said, "Well, we're sitting here doing nothing. We're enjoying the wilderness. That's great. But what harm is it in me just doing a howl?" So they did the huff and the puff and they were kind of choked. And I decided I did a howl. Literally within 2 minutes of me doing a howl, we got a howl from behind me, from probably 20 feet in the forest. So I was about 100 feet from the forest, and 20 feet within the forest came out this howl. And then all of a sudden, another one in front of me, probably about 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers away, howled back. And then a coyote howled. And then a bunch of coyotes howled after that. But if they didn't make a sound, we would not have known that they were there. So it's interesting why they do that.
Totally. I think it's totally interesting how they get there and how they seem to vanish and disappear and do everything. But these rock throwing incidents that seem to happen, I'm just wondering, why they are not picking more people off.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I have interviewed someone who did say that they got a rock in the face, broke their jaw.
oh wow.
Yeah, they were sitting there, and his friend was the one that was. His friend was doing monkey sounds and growling into the darkness, because they heard like some crunching, some walking in the forest, and so his friend was like doing the little and doing mock charges into the forest, and then all of a sudden a rock, probably about 2 inches in diameter, came out of the forest and hit him smack in the face and broke his jaw and took out his teeth. And that was the end for the night. Like he got picked, he knocked him out, and then his friend woke him up and they dragged him, and he was all delirious, back to the truck and into the truck. And then they took off. And when they made a report at the hospital, they didn't believe them. They thought that his friend hit him with the rock. But yeah, so yeah, they will do it. Allegedly, they will hit you if you're mocking them, I guess.
Right. At any time when you have been out in the forest, what has been some of the clues you have seen? Because the one thing that I've learned over the years about this creature is that the clues are very subtle.
Yeah.
Yes, you may find a footprint, but maybe an X in the trees, or maybe a tree that's bent over, or whatever it may be. I mean, what are some of the clues you look for?
So we did find a footprint when I was in, I didn't see what left it, so I can't 100% say that this was made by Bigfoot, but it's not that long, 13 inches in diameter, long, and it's about 6 inches wide. So, and then you could see the toe, the big toe, and then the smaller ones going down. That the break is right here. And the night before we found this, we were stalked in the forest, and we actually caught on video these creatures looking at us. It stuck his head out, and the researcher did not see it at the time. He was filming in the direction, yelling at us, and the creature stuck his head out. He didn't physically see it. It wasn't until I got home and was looking through the footage for editing, and I saw it. It poked his head out, and then he turned and walked up the trail. And about I want to say maybe 1,000 feet up the trail, he stopped again, and now there was two of them looking at him, probably about 100 to 150 feet away in these bushes. And by that time, I'm there, and we're all watching these creatures, these two creatures watching us and filming it. And they're sticking their heads out, and you can see the eye shines. And then obviously the creatures finally, walked off. We don't know exactly why. Actually, I lied. I actually walked up in that direction and they ran off. So, my fault that they, got spooked. But yeah, so I look for footprints. I look for trees, like tree structures. But I really like finding the big tree structures, the ones that I know that humans couldn't make, right? Giant ones. Trees put into X's that are like 20 feet tall, and obviously you could see. And I found about 5 of them, and I've seen the trees. I've found trees, 5 of them that were ripped out of the ground, turned upside down, and rammed into the ground. In fact, a week ago, not even 6 days ago, I was in Pennsylvania and walked up this trail, and sure enough, in the middle of the trail was this long stick, like this big stick. It was like this big around. It was speared into the ground, in the middle of the ground, speared, sticking straight up. And so when I walked up to it, we moved it, and it was right in there. It was jammed right in there. It was as if whatever put it there, if something did put it there, it was like, this is my territory. And it was upside down. So it was just, it was incredible. So I look for that. I love the eye shine, if I can catch that on film. A lot of times I catch eye shine from behind. So I'll be talking on camera, and for some reason the creatures think I'm not looking at it, and they'll stick their head out, and you'll see the eye shine. So when you watch my documentaries, you will see. I will not see it in real time until like 2 months later, when I go home and I'm editing it in the dark, and I'm seeing all these eye shines behind my head. I even once saw like what looked like a giant spider that crawled across the trail in front of me. It scared me so bad I almost fell over. I was like freaking out. And I remember the eyes just looked at me, and the head did not bob. It was like it was on a gimbal or on like a steady cam, and the eyes just smooth as butter went right across, and I could see the outline of the legs as it went across. It was like boom, boom, gone, just like that. And I was about 20 feet away, and it was in the dark, and that was terrifying. And I had the camera on me. So I did this maneuver where I turned around really quick. So I pretended to go forward, and I did like this kind of dance kind of thing where I took a step forward and to twist back very fast. And this creature was standing, and it dropped to the ground. And I think maybe there was a second one that actually took a step back behind the tree, but I was so focused on the one that went right across the trail. And to this day, I'm like, it just blew my mind. Let me tell you, I was sleeping in the truck that night.
I bet. How close do you think that you have gotten to one of these creatures?
About 20 feet.
And what was that like?
Actually, that I physically saw was 20 feet. I was shaking. Now, how close have I got to one where I didn't know it was behind me? To be honest, 10 feet. Like when you watch on film, when you watch one of my documentaries and you see me talking on camera, and you see the eye shine literally over my shoulder, and I'm right next to the forest. Like this thing is 10 feet in the forest, and I'm like 15 to 10 feet away. I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, I just wanted, like, if I just turned and looked with my flashlight, I would have seen it standing directly behind me. And I've actually caught that with another researcher. walking beside me, where the thing was like right beside us. For some reason, these creatures, I don't know what it is, they have some kind of ability that stops us from seeing it for whatever reason.
Do you think, or have you had experiences where this creature seems to have messed with your technology?
Yes. So every time I heard stories from people who say, look, I wouldn't, I had a camera out there, and the camera, all the footage was gone after I saw the creature. And I used to be like, okay, that's interesting. And I just didn't really, I just didn't know what to think. Well, I was given one of these tree cams as a gift, brand new. The guy came up and said, hey, here's a gift. This is a brand new tree cam. And I wanted to try it out. So for the next couple days, I stuck it on a tree, aiming towards the truck, where the trucks are. And for the next 2 days, I was just filming people that would go to the truck. I didn't want to film it towards where where the campfire was, because it would be going off 24/7. But I knew that every once in a while someone would walk over to the truck, so I just filmed it. So then on the second night, one of the First Nations guys came up and said, "Hey, if you go down that trail," and he pointed probably about 200 feet down the way, there's a trail that leads back, and there's a kind of a tree with a hole in it, and there's a gifting. That's where we gift these creatures. So I was given a giant lollipop. Like, this lollipop was almost the size of my head, which doesn't mean much because I have a small head. But I went with another guy down this trail, and the candy was wrapped, and I stuck it in the hole, and for fun, I was like, okay, this is for you. And I looked around, I yelled out into the forest, this is for you. This is a goodie. You can eat it, have fun with it, but if you don't like it, just leave it and I will eat it because it looks delicious. And I walked away. So for the next 24 hours, it was out there. And so after 24 hours, we went back down the trail, and I remember I had stuck a tree cam up facing the candy that was wrapped up. And so I went back 24 hours later, and sure enough, the candy wasn't there. And my buddy's like, oh, it's down by your feet. So I looked down, I picked it up. It looked like something had taken a little nibble out of it. And that was it. The wrapper was still on it, except that there was a little piece of the wrapper that was taken off, as if something had licked it or took a bite, didn't like it, and threw it down on the ground. And I'm like, oh, it's a squirrel, a chipmunk, or maybe a rodent of some kind. So I took off the tree cam, went back, didn't look at the footage, just stuck it in my bag. And 2 months later, I'm done my expedition. I went back home. I decided I pulled out the camera, and I'm going through it. There was like about 30 photos, and I'm going through each one, and I'm looking at different video clips of the truck, of people going to the trucks, and I'm getting to the spot where I want to get
Hold that thought right there.
Yeah.
I hate to cut you off, but we're going to break here at the bottom of the hour.
Okay.
We have one final half hour, Jason Kenzie, where we're talking Bigfoot. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right.
Yeah, I know I was babbling on there forever and ever.
It works for me, man. Works for me.
Oh, looks like you got a $5 bill. Look at you.
Look at that. One
Thank
whole
you.
fiver tonight.
Thank you, Paranormal Pixel or Pixie.
Yep. Pixie Lara. She has purple hair.
Gotta love purple.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the comments are cool.
Yeah, we got good people around here.
How many people are in the chat right now?
There's about 50 chatting, but there's 178 watching on YouTube right now.
Oh, okay.
And 219 overall. That's just on the social media platforms. That doesn't include our podcasts or live radio show.
Yeah. So people stay up to watch us. Do you have anyone in Australia?
Lots of people in Australia. They're in our chat room tonight. Usually we have more. I think it's only Aussie Ange tonight, but we got usually at least 10 to 11, or I should say 7 to 11 Aussies here, quite a bit.
I'd like to go to Australia and do some research on the Yowie. Thanks, Pam, for lurking.
Got the guy to do that with.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Go to, yeah, I'm getting popular in England. Britain seems to be fascinated with searching for Sasquatch, which is nice.
Well, there's Aussie. So there's 2. Slow motions in Ireland. Good morning, slow motion.
I hear you guys have little people.
They have the little people there. That they do. There's Steam Train Mark. Hey, Steam Train Mark, am I alive tomorrow? Prince Arcane, how you doing, my man? Hope you're having a good night. I am Pam, by the way.
I am Pam. I am about 5'10", slow motion. Yeah, I hope people go and watch my documentaries. You know, they're quite fun. Lots of adventure.
Beautiful.
Aussie. Oh yeah. Oi. That's funny.
Told you to go by quickly tonight.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely. Yeah, I don't usually do longer than an hour. Usually.
Yeah. I'm worth 2.
You're worth 2. You're special.
I'm special. I'm worth 2. Well, the audience is worth 2.
Yeah, it'll be fun to go out with you. Definitely after the show, we'll talk.
River Morris is saying he's had 8 encounters with Yowie.
Really? Okay.
Earth Goat Trees, how are you? And no, Pam, I am Pam. We've already clarified that. Joe is Pam as well.
Hey, Joe is Pam.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I had some corn on the cob right now.
Oh.
With butter, like the sweet corn. That's the best.
Yeah, man. It's coming. Growing season in Chilliwack has started.
So, Timothy, if you put Jason Kenzie into the search bar of Tubi, you will actually find all the documentaries, Tim. And it's free on Tubi.
Now, Moody Mongol says, no, I am Pam. You cannot be Pam if I am Pam. Ozzy Ange is saying she is Pam. See, even Joe says, I am Pam.
I think we're all Pam.
We are all Pam tonight. Thank you, Pixie Lara, for being our lone super chatter tonight. Love your support of SOR. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. And don't forget, everybody, you can always shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? Because we do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can actually wear ours in public and be proud of it.
So,
spacedoutradio.com. Check it on out. Here we go, everybody. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio or listen on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We have him until the top of the hour. Jason Kenzie, documentarian, researcher, author, filmmaker, and he likes a good soy latte from Starbucks on Robson Street in Vancouver. Jason, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio.
Thank you, Dave.
Soy latte, eh?
Maybe. I prefer more of a hot chocolate. Those are delicious.
You know the main reason why I don't go into Starbucks or any coffee shop is because I don't speak the language. I don't speak coffee. Don't know how. No interest in knowing how. And it scares me. Scares me.
And you know the ones that go in like all the time because the name of their coffee is like 20 words.
Right? Right? I don't get it.
Whatever happened to I'll just get a coffee, black. Or
can't do that anymore.
Milk.
The last time I went into a Starbucks was in Vancouver. And I walked up to the person, the barista there, and I said, I apologize. I don't speak coffee. I just want a large hot chocolate. And she comes up with this name. I don't know what the hell it was, Grande or Vonti or something along those lines. I said, no, large. That's all I want. Large hot chocolate. And she's trying to educate me, looking at me like I'm stupid. Right? But it's an entire different language in coffee shops, man. And if you're not a coffee drinker like me, I'm not a coffee drinker. You struggle. You got to avoid those kinds of places. They're dangerous. Dangerous, my man. Just like Sasquatch.
I'll stick with my hot chocolate, though, for sure.
Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. You were telling a story right before the break.
Yes. So I was looking through the footage, and I'm going through each one. There's about 25 or 30 video clips. And I get to the one that I'm really excited to see, the squirrel or the chipmunk. It was corrupted. The file was corrupted. So every one before it worked, except for the one, and then everything after it worked, except for the one that I was excited to see. It just blew me away. So I can't sit here and tell you right now exactly what animal had taken that lollipop and licked it, or at least broke open the little piece of plastic, because the file is corrupted. And I have about 4 professional video editing programs, and one of them opens everything, and none of them would open this file. It was completely shot. It blew my mind. I could not believe it.
Out of any time that you have had encounters, have you ever seen children of Sasquatch? I don't know what the proper term would be, but I'm going to call them children.
No, but I have heard children playing in the dark forest. Like I was in the middle of nowhere, and I heard children playing at like 2:00 in the morning in the snow. It blew my mind. I've also heard singing, almost like a melody coming out from the dark forest. And I'm miles away. I'm 50 miles from any civilization in any direction. And I've heard these weird, I've just heard weird sounds. I even caught talking on camera, like something going wop 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 and wop da.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I caught that on camera, like on audio, and that blew my mind too. And it was exactly the same time as I was sleeping, as I was in the hammock when the thing walked up and grunted in my ear. The talking was at the same time. Yeah. It was either half an hour before it happened or half an hour after it happened. It was the same time frame. And when I showed the audio to the First Nation people in Minnesota, they actually said that what it was saying, it was annoyed or pissed off that I was there. That's what they said. That the language, when it translated, was it was annoyed. And the funny thing is, I did not tell them what I was doing at that moment. They didn't know. I just said, hey, could you listen to this? And can you tell me if you can translate it? Because allegedly it's supposed to be in your language. And when they listened to it, she goes, yeah, it sounds like it's saying that it's annoyed that you're there. It's pissed off. And I'm like, really? Well, guess what I was doing? And guess what happened at that time? And she's like, yeah. It was pissed off that you were in its territory and that you disrespected it by hanging a hammock tent, by its big X underneath the big giant X that it made.
My goodness. In your opinion, and before we get to a couple audience questions here, in your opinion, what do you think Sasquatch is? It's not as easy a question as we make it out to be.
Yeah. Well, I've interviewed a few hunters who have said they've shot one and that it bled. Now, are they telling the truth? I can't 100% tell you that they were. But all these hunters I've interviewed are all different people that didn't even know each other and in different areas of North America. And they all said something similar. So if they are telling the truth, the Bigfoot is some kind of an animal of some kind that's flesh and blood. On the other hand, because, I think they have some kind of abilities, because for some reason they seem to know how to stay just beyond the infrared of my night vision camera. Like many times they've seemed to just be right outside, so I don't get to see what they are. So they have an ability of some kind to be able to, cloak or to, well, obviously they have the perfect camouflage, right? Because the way their hair is, they seem to be able, if they just stop moving, that, that you just think it's a giant tree. I mean, I talked to a farmer that came out on his tractor and he saw this, what he thought was a giant tree that for some reason grew overnight, 10 feet tall. So he jumped on his ATV and he drove it all the way over to it. And he got off the ATV and he walked up to it. And he looked at it and it didn't move. So he went to reach up to touch it and it clenched its fist. And he saw it clench its fist. And then he's like, oh crap. And he backed up. And when he backed up to turn around to walk away, as he went on back onto his ATV, he looked back and the thing was running into the forest. So, yeah, they have some kind of ability, but I do think they are probably a flesh and blood creature.
I'm still debating that one.
Well, people say that they might come in and out of portals, or they manifest into energy, into being invisible. So here's my common thought process. If these creatures can turn invisible or go into portals, why would they ever come out of being invisible or come out of the portals or out of the energy ball? Why would they do that and make themselves known? Because it's dangerous. Hunters could shoot them, or the military would catch them. What if, like I said, if they were to be invisible, why would they ever not be invisible? Why do they let people see them? It doesn't make sense, right? If I was invisible and I didn't want to be, they run away from us 24/7. Why? Why are you running away? All you have to do is be invisible 24 hours a day. Then you don't have to worry about running away because we wouldn't see them. Right? So if I was a creature, right now, if I didn't want to be seen by you and I could be invisible, poof, I'm invisible. And there's no stress. I can do whatever now. You see my point? Or do I just sound crazy?
No, I get that point. Here's my thing, and I don't go by others' encounters. I go by what my encounters are.
Yes.
And I know this. In 2022, when we had our sighting, okay, we had literally watched this 10-foot creature just standing there. And we watched it vanish right before our very eyes. And we didn't even see it vanish. That's how blatant it was.
Was it nighttime?
And it was nighttime. And if it went to its left, our right,
yeah,
it would have had to climb over some trees. If it went to its right, our left, it would have had to cross a logging road and then go up a 7-foot embankment.
Yeah.
If it went backwards, we would have seen it fade out.
Mm-hmm.
If it came forwards, we would have saw it.
Yeah.
It vanished. And the thing is, we didn't see it vanish. It just disappeared. And so it's little situations. I've had a couple of experiences just like that where it just blows me away with what this creature is. Now, I'm not saying it isn't flesh and blood. I don't know what it is, but I know I don't know enough about it to say it's either completely supernatural or completely Gigantopithecus's long lost brother.
Yeah. Well, I do think they have some kind of ability, but supernatural creatures don't usually have to eat. Usually. When you're supernatural, it means that you are just full of energy and you can manifest here and there. And, in the paranormal realm or the world, ghosts, and they don't have to eat food. So these creatures do. I don't know how many people I've interviewed or how many stories I've heard of these creatures being seen killing deer and even eating deer. Snatching dogs. So yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. That's a hard question for sure. I totally agree that, I've been there where the creatures are standing in front of me and then they close their eyes and they're gone, just like that. Either they turn their head or they close their eyes. But I've seen that a couple times. So, for one thing, I'm almost convinced that they have an ability of doing something to our cameras.
Yeah, I don't know. The great debate will continue until we actually know what's really happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it is a great debate. I just don't know where that debate is going. You're a lone wolf in all of this. You're not really affiliated with any groups. You're doing this on your own. Why have you chosen to not affiliate with other Sasquatch groups?
I do. I actually do. I do go out with other research groups. I've been out with the She Squatchers. And they're an all-female group. There are 3 women that go out searching for these creatures. I've gone out with them a few times. I go out with Chad Daytema and in his small group, and Texas. I went out in Texas with our research group out there. Yeah, what happens is people will fly me in to come out and film and to go out and see if we can find these creatures. I do go out by myself sometimes. Is it safe? No, I'm stupid. But a lot of my friends don't want to go out with me, so I'll go out by myself. Yeah, it's been pretty exciting, and I'll be doing this until it's not fun no more,
Good
or
for you.
if I go missing. So hopefully I don't become one of the 411s.
Right. Couple questions from our audience. Start with Kaiju here. Jason, what are your thoughts on the speech audio from Michigan? Has that been analyzed?
Jason, are you talking about what I just played, or the one that
Yeah.
happened a while ago? The one I just played.
Yeah.
So that actually was in Minnesota. It's called the Minnesota Roars, and no, it has not been analyzed. I was hoping that I sent it off to a researcher to analyze it, but they're taking forever to get back to me. So I'm going to see if I can find someone else that is trained on audio, and to see if they can prove if it's real or if it's fake. I don't know. Yeah, so that's the answer to the question. It will be properly analyzed eventually, but I know it's not coyotes.
Okay, let's move on to another question. Let's go to Polly. What's the craziest thing you've done in order to catch a glimpse of Sasquatch?
Well, I once built a snow cave and kind of slept in there in the night. I slept there, and listened to things walking in the snow, and captured audio. And even I had a FLIR, and I was looking into the darkness on the FLIR, and I could see things walking back and forth. And the FLIR, the video, like it zoomed in, so it started at like 200 feet. That's how it started at that. So there was no way for me to get anything. So whatever it was very close to the camera, and it was moving back and forth. And all I could see is kind of like a bit of the body. And then it did this thing where it walked this way and then went, and turned and went the other way. So I think because I was freezing in this snow cave, that maybe they didn't know that I was there. But it's crazy. I'm about to shoot another documentary called Survival Bigfoot, where I take a helicopter deep into the forests and get dropped off, and then have to survive while searching for Sasquatch for about 7 days. So look for that in the future.
All right. From Kaiju again. Jason, what are your thoughts on Dogman?
For one thing, I think that maybe quite a few of the sightings are maybe misdiagnosed. Maybe they are Bigfoot, and people just think they're Dogman. I don't know. I haven't done too much studying. I am going to be flying out to Michigan in a couple of weeks to actually do a documentary on Dogman. So I'm going to go interview an expert, someone who's studied Dogman. And yeah, that's going to be exciting. I can't wait to go and do this. So look for that in the near future, that documentary.
Paulie wants to know, do you believe cattle mutilations are related to Bigfoot?
I haven't done too much investigation into that. I don't know. I don't see why Bigfoot would do that. I mean, we know they eat meat. and we know that they kill deer, and so why would they just mutilate a cow and that's it? It doesn't make sense as a predator to just kill the cow and then pick it up and then walk it off into the forest and eat it. I don't know. I mean, I guess if it was a child, maybe it was playing with its food. I have no idea.
All right, here's a good question from Mr. Vermette in Ontario. Most evidence points Bigfoot as a being. What makes a creature an animal in your mind?
Well, if it, for one thing, if it bleeds, if it's, if it breathes oxygen, if it lives in the forest, if it makes a bedding, if it has the same traits as something trying to survive in the forest, that, any animal living in the forest, they do two things 24 hours a day. They find food, they hunt, they try and, they need to eat, and they need to survive. They need shelter. So any animal out there, including Bigfoot, they have to hunt every day. They have to eat every day. They have to sleep. They have to survive. Right? If they're just energy balls, or if they are just some kind of something that's alien-like, then it won't need to eat. Like, really, if it's all energy, it'll just live off lightning bolts. I don't know.
You never know. We got 90 seconds to go here before we have to say goodnight to you, Jason. And I just want to say a big thank you for coming on in and really giving us a great show tonight. I love talking this subject, and you're just so knowledgeable and just so down the middle with your research. I think it's refreshing. I really do.
Thank you.
Could you do us a favor? Take a minute and a half here and tell everybody where they can find your documentaries and how to reach out to you.
So if you were just to Google my name, Jason Kenzie, you will find all my documentaries. A lot of times you can find them on Tubi, Plex. I do have a website called searchingforsasquatch.ca. I have also published a couple children's books that had to do with Bigfoot. It's called Adventures of Little JJ. And this is another one where it has the Loch Ness Monster, and it has a ghost and Moth Boy and a little Bigfoot girl. And yeah, so I've done that. You can find that on Amazon. There's a lot of stuff I've done. If people like animals, you can just find all my animal adventures, and there's a lot of stuff that you can see. I have a lot of fun doing this, and I make a lot of new friends. So I'm going to be speaking at the Sasquatch Summerfest in Oregon. If you Google the name, you can find it. If you got anyone lives in Oregon and you want to come by and say hi, come on by. Tell me your stories. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is happening July 19th, 2024.
Right on. Jason, thank you for joining us on Spaced Out Radio tonight. What a pleasure it was to learn about Bigfoot and Sasquatch with you. Coming up next on the big show in hour 3, Steve Stockton has another creepy story. That Jackie Harmon returns for the Cryptid Report. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we're clear, my man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. This is one of the better podcasts that I've done, and I've done quite a few, and this one is quite nice. I can't believe it was 2 hours. You were so right about that.
Well, I appreciate that.
I think you make it so easy.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. Stay in touch, and later on this fall, when you get an opportunity, head on up, man.
I will, and let's definitely stay in touch.
Okay, buddy.
All
You
right.
take care.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Bye, Dave.
Bye. What a great guy. Just honest, great researcher right there. Jason Kenzie there. Hey, I'm going to be right back. See you in a few. All right, I am back. Yaki is here because she prefers a silent J. Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. Nice to see you. Purple Cut Fish, how are you? Oh, my one hiccup for the day. And you guys got to hear it. Thank you to Pixie Lara for our lone super chat tonight. Always appreciate the love and support. Thank you to our new subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that bell. Hit subscribe. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. And if you're on X, give us a follow. Here we go, everyone. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Sticking with the monsters. How y'all doing? My name is Dave Scott. I'm the guy who likes to chase down these Bigfooties that are in the forest all around us. Good to have you with us. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America. We really do appreciate you bringing our audience numbers up and up with our radio stations, so thank you. I know they appreciate it too. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. When you get, or pardon me, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Space Travelers Club has the Desert Clam setting the password for tonight. Galariculate. Galariculate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. It's that time of the night we say hello to Steve Stockton, who brings us another weird story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Wilhelm's compound covers over 2.5 city blocks, with some of the buildings soaring to an impressive 8 stories tall. The back of the tallest building features the largest outdoor mural in the western United States. A full-service facility started as a family business in 1901. Wilhelm's also boasts a funeral chapel and crematory, which just happens to be the oldest crematory west of the Mississippi River. Among the amenities in this fine establishment, one can find stained glass windows from Tiffany, Povey, and Gerlich, a veritable heavenly host of carved angels and cherubim, and dozens of other religious statuary. The most breathtaking statue is easily a full-size exact replica of Michelangelo's famous Pietà, weighing in at over 7,000 pounds and lifted into place using a crane in 1969. It's made from marble quarried from the very same source in Italy that Michelangelo used. But back to the mausoleum. And referring to it as a mausoleum is akin to referring to the Queen Mary as a boat. The mausoleum at Wilhelm's is the largest on the West Coast and contains the remains of over 90,000 people, with room for at least another 40,000 more. It's truly a necropolis, a veritable city of the dead. Under normal circumstances, Wilhelm's is closed to the general public 364 days per year. But on that one remaining day, Memorial Day, Wilhelm's opened the gates to one and all. Not meaning to sound facetious here, but it literally becomes a sort of Disneyland of the dead. There are tours of both the guided and self-guided varieties, a vintage car show, an authentic Scottish bagpipe band, special ceremonies, and even refreshments. It's such an odd feeling to see entire families strolling through the mausoleum and taking in the sights while munching on popcorn and cookies. Add in the occasional strains of carnivalesque music that filters in from Oaks Amusement Park, which sits just behind Wilhelm's on the other side of a wildlife refuge on the banks of the Willamette River, and you have the most surreal juxtaposition imaginable. Inside, the mausoleum is like a strange combination of the Winchester Mystery House and the catacombs underneath the streets of Paris. The labyrinth of hallways, nooks, crannies, and rooms, both big and small, boggles the mind. Be sure and bring your walking shoes. On the day that I visited, I logged over 4 miles, according to the pedometer on my phone, and yet I still didn't see everything on all floors. And while there were hundreds of visitors there that day, it was not uncommon to travel through entire sections of the mausoleum without seeing another soul, not a living one anyway. There are spots that feel off in the mausoleum, where the creep factor increases by several fold. The complex is not without its own legends of the occasional sightings of ghosts, including a disappearing cat and a wispy mist-like figure that has often been reported at the base of one of the marble staircases. At one point, I thought I was observing some sort of strange apparition at the end of a darkened hallway, but on closer inspection, it turned out to be a couple of teenage goth kids dressed head to toe in black and locked in the tryst of a heavy makeout section. From what I hear, this is a somewhat common occurrence for those who appreciate the darker things in life, or death, I suppose. There is a persistent melancholy about the place, as one would expect. Even with all the beautiful stained glass and loving memorials, one can't help but feel a certain sadness amongst all the dead. There's a particular pall that hangs over the children's areas that's very, very sad indeed. Most amazing is the sheer number of cremation urns on display. There are literally thousands of them, if not tens of thousands, ranging from the very simple and understated to the decadently ornate and beautiful. The urns are all set into little alcoves or niches resembling bookcases. Behind glass to prevent theft or vandalism, which apparently is a real concern, many of the urns are displayed with photos of those whose ashes rest within. It gives one such a strange feeling to know that all that is left of the person staring back at you from the antique photograph is locked inside the container just behind.
Thank you to Steve Stockton for another great story. If you want more like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Tales Untold, for another creepy story. From the mysterious to the even bizarre, back from an adventure in Washington State. Here's Jackie Harmon and the Cryptid Report. You and the boyfriend, Lee Strauss, because you can title him that now.
Yep.
Hanging out in the mountains of Washington State, chasing down UFOs, looking for Sasquatch, any bizarre paranormal experiences. Jackie Harmon, what a great weekend for you it's been. And congratulations on a fantastic, fantastic time away for you.
Yeah, it was an amazing time away for me. It was an absolutely epic weekend. We had more activity on this weekend, especially the first night, that we actually are going to share more on our show Friday night. But I do want to talk about some of the stuff we did and go through some of the things that we experienced there with you guys tonight. So it was a very interesting situation because this is kind of a backstory for me and Lee. Like, Lee and I actually met 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, when we first started talking, it actually became kind of a conversation of Lee would say to me, "Hey, I've got this special place in, Mount Adams I want to take you to." So this has been like a long time coming situation and location for us. So lo and behold, we finally got to go. And let me tell you something. The the activity at this place is mind-blowing. We had from literally, even before we left, we both had feelings of things were going to happen. Things were happening even before we got there. It was like we would go through certain areas trying to get there and it would turn us around. It was almost like as if the mountain like said, this is where we want you to be and nowhere else. Okay. So we'd go off down one road. No, for some reason we can't be there. Turn around. We'd go down another road. Nope, can't be there. And it was always these weird reasons why. So we end up in this one specific location and we're like, hey, this is a great place, you know? And we ended up at this place where had like water, where I'm like, you know, every time I'm out and I'm looking for a location to stay, I always want to be close to a water source where I know for a fact, you know, that's where, you know, especially Bigfoot and Sasquatch, whatever you guys want to call it, that's where they tend to stay, obviously, for water source, food source, and, you know, so and so. And so, anyway, let me just tell you, it started from the second we were unpacking. We were getting crazy things happening. There were crazy things that happened through the day. We walked around, we found evidence like you wouldn't believe. I can't share every little detail because I know Lee's gonna absolutely kill me. But we are going to share every bit of what happened to us on day one, night one, on our show this coming Friday night. But what I do want to share with you guys is the fact that we did, in fact, have insane Sasquatch activity. Okay. But then night two, when we actually moved on, we ended up having even more activity. We thought we were going to move to a location that was just going to be more like UFO, sky watching, and, you know, more focusing more on like that side of the mountain. So we completely moved locations to think like, okay, well, we had this activity happening here and this experience. Let's go have this new experience. Well, it was a very strange day for us. We drove around and for some weird reason, we could not, for the life of us, again, find a spot. It was like no one was there yet. Everything kept kind of moving us around in these odd locations. So we finally get to this one spot. We get out, we set up, and it's this huge open kind of meadowy looking field and this like almost like kind of like a long road that people would drive down to go to the back. And we thought, well, we'll just pull in here. It was basically the only, you know, area that had shade at the time. So we're like, okay, we're going to stop right here. Well, we were completely exhausted from night one. Night one was it was a lot to take in. It was a lot of information to consume. It was a lot of emotions that we were trying to still figure out. And I will share more with you guys about that. So we decided, let's just take it easy. We need to just like set up one tent instead of 3. And let's just take a nap. You know, we're like, I'm exhausted. He's exhausted. So, of course, you know, the activity is so filled up inside of us that I couldn't sleep. I actually stayed up the whole night before, and I'm still up the entire day. The activity was no matter where we decided to go, it was there. And so we decided to lay down, and he zonks out, and he's like, I'm exhausted. I need a nap. And I'm just staring at the ceiling of this tent. It's like an octagon tent. And I just could not sleep for the life of me. So I laid there and I'm like waiting for things to happen. And I'm thinking like, okay, something's going to happen. Something's, you know, I'm feeling it. There's something very strange happening. Well, I guess eventually I zonked out for a little while. And I wake up and I feel like it's only been like maybe 5 minutes. So I wake up to this feeling of like something surrounding us. Like, I don't know if it's footsteps. I don't know if it's something else. I don't know exactly what's going on, but he's still asleep and I'm wide awake and I'm still staring at the top of this tent. And all of a sudden, the brightest light I've ever seen in my life shines down on the top of this tent. And you can tell it's not coming from the sides. It's literally illuminating from the top, like the sky is just lighting into our tent. And it's like as if someone took the brightest moon and pulled it down, and it's sitting on top of this tent. And I'm literally laying there staring at this thinking, what in the world could this be? And I'm staring at it like, how is this possible? It's dark, yet now it's like extremely light outside, or it's, light coming in. And as I'm laying there staring at it, I'm thinking to myself, okay, is that really the moon? Is the moon that bright? Can that be what I'm thinking it is? Because it's way too bright for that. And just as I go to, poke him and say, hey, wake up, you need to see this, it goes, boom, done. Like it's gone, pitch black. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, like, whoa, wait. Well, what was that? I mean, what could have done that? Because we're out in the middle of nowhere, the base of this mountain, and it's pitch dark. And so I'm laying there and I'm trying to like gather my thoughts of like, well, what in the world could that have been? That doesn't make any sense. What could have done that? And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to lay here and hopefully it'll come back and do it again. So I keep telling him, hey, wake up. You got to see this. And I'm telling him about this light that came in and went away really fast. So, and like, here I am again, I'm staring at this tent, like intently now, like, I'm just like, okay, I wanted to come back so I can see it. So I know what it is. And I'm thinking it's about 5 minutes, and lo and behold, it's back. Okay. All of a sudden, boom, this light comes back. It's this massive illuminating light. It's filling up the tent. And I poke him again and I say, hey, look, you got to look at this. And well, before I said that, hold on. When I go back just for a second, when I said it the first time, I asked him what time it was. And he said it was 12:15. Well, then he goes back to sleep. Like it doesn't even affect him. So now I'm thinking it's 5 minutes later and I'm staring at this light once again. And I'm trying my best to wake him up. And it's like he took like a sleeping pill or something. He could not stay awake for anything. And so I say, did you see that? Did you see that? And it happened again. Okay. Then it goes, boom, gone again. And I say, what time is it? Because I'm thinking it's only been like 5 minutes. I want to time these. I want to see how often these lights are happening. And he picks up his phone and says, it's 5 a.m. And I go, whoa, 5 a.m. You just told me like 5 minutes ago it was 12:15. Like, how is that even possible? And he goes, I don't know. But then he just like literally just goes back to sleep. It's like something is forcing him to sleep, and I'm wide awake and can't.
Are you sure you didn't have any missing time or skipping time?
I don't know because I have been awake now. I'm like almost like I swear it's like something is keeping me awake, like I'm hardcore awake, like the middle of the day. And he can't stay awake to save his life. It was weird. It was like we were both on two completely different things. Like I'm totally awake and he's zonked out. And no matter how many times I say, get up, wake up, you've got to see this. There's activity happening. Nothing's waking him up. He's just like drugged. And I'm like, dude, wake up. And I know he's going to kill me when he watches this because I like kept telling him for 2 days. I'm like, wake up, wake up. But I thought it had been a solid maybe 5 minutes. And I know for a fact I did not fall asleep because I was wired from this activity. I'm staring at this tent and I'm thinking like, I'm not going to sleep. I'm wide awake. There's no way I'm going to sleep. And actually, after the first one happened, I forgot to tell you, I was just about to get out of the tent to go see, like, what in the world is this light? Okay. And that's when, as soon as I go to lean up, it goes, boom, gone, dark. Okay. That's when I was like, there's no freaking way I'm going to sleep. No way. I'm going to lay here until it happens again, hoping that it would happen again. And it did, like I said. And then when he tells me it's 5 a.m., I'm thinking to myself, there's no way it's 5 a.m. It literally feels like it was just minutes. And I have no explanation for that. I have never in my life experienced like lost time or, something. I've never had an experience like Lee's had an abductee situation that I know of, I should say. I have never experienced that feeling or lost time in my entire life. That was a first for me. I've never seen bright lights come out of nowhere and just disappear. And so the next morning, and I was still up. Like I don't even know if I slept. I was just wired completely. Like I think I stayed up for like 2.5 days or something. And I just remember talking to Lee and saying, like, what in the world would do that? Like, it's like I can't worldly explain, like, nothing makes sense of what I saw. It just doesn't seem right. Like, there's no worldly explanation that we understand here on Earth of what that could be. I mean, I know it was like a nice bright moon, but a moon doesn't just turn itself off and then come back and do it again. So it makes me wonder, like, did I go through something that I just don't know about? Did something happen where maybe when it first came, something happened, and then when the second light came, I really don't know how to explain it. I just don't get it. It makes no sense to me. I am at a loss with the whole light thing illuminating the tent. But the weird thing was, and I did not know this story, was Lee told me the next day that he had actually climbed Mount Adams with a couple of hikers. I guess these two brothers, I think he said their name were the Williams brothers, and I'm not sure if anybody knows who they are. But apparently the brothers were staying in a tent together, and Lee was in his own separate tent, again, asleep. He's going to give me so much crap for that. But anyway, the brothers had the exact same light experience illuminating the tent. And they said it felt like it was like the brightest light they'd ever seen coming down from above, illuminating the tent. And that's exactly what I felt and saw. So, and I did not know that. I don't know who they are. I've never heard their story. I've never heard anybody having that experience with a tent being lit up like that. So I have no explanation for what I saw at all. It just does not, make sense to me. Now, this is coming from a girl who very much believes in the paranormal. So obviously my mind tends to go to, was this something paranormal? I don't know. It's just something out of the norm for me. So, where do you go with that? I don't know.
Well, with 45 seconds to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour, I'm blown away by what you have just told us, because it was like the supernatural was all around you guys at this time in order to, draw its attention, that it was knowing that you guys were there and that you guys were prepared for an experience of a lifetime. That doesn't happen very often. It happened to us in the forest last year. We're hoping that exact same type of scenario plays out this weekend when we're back in the forest. So I'm telling you, there is something to this. The phenomena knows when you're in a special area. And I still think you had some time skips. That's just so cool. Jackie Harmon here for the Cryptid Report. We're going to continue the conversation when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
I love that guitar solo.
Yeah.
When did you finally get home?
I actually flew home yesterday. Yeah. So I'm still a little bit tired. I have what they call the paranormal hangover.
Yep.
I do want to share, and I know there's a lot. The very first day and night that we were there,
Save it for the show. Save it
yeah.
for the show.
I am going to save it for the show, but I just
No,
wanted
I meant save it for like 5 minutes now.
Okay.
Yeah. Save it for 5 minutes from now.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weekend to remember. We'll never forget it. I can tell you that.
Right. Right. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I caught one of your live streams there.
Mm-hmm.
Lee looked good in his extra small camouflage shirt. He loves it when I rib him about that.
It's funny.
It is funny. It is funny. He's such a great dude. Freaking love that guy. Love that guy.
He's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lot of fun to go out with because he is highly intelligent when it comes to the outdoors. You know, you're with someone who knows what they're doing, who you feel completely safe with, no matter what the circumstances are, even when it gets scary, you know. But yeah, you know, he's been hiking and doing all this, you know, paranormal, like night sky watch and Bigfoot stuff and camping like his whole life, just like me. So, you know, there's a lot of comfort and trust there. And I mean, we just have a good time. We have the best time when we're together. You'll see, like, he's making our intro video right now for our new show, and you'll see some of our funny humor in that, as well as some of the other things that, you know, we experienced and captured. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I had the best time there. We had an amazing 10 days of just you know, going out, enjoying. The weather was absolutely stunning. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm a little bit sunburned from camping. It was so hot out there. I could not believe how hot it was at the base of the mountain. I bet it was like 85 degrees. So it was gorgeous. Beautiful scenery. The mountain's just stunning. So yeah, he's very, very like, just the word I want to say is like, you know, just highly knowledgeable, like with all the cameras and setting them all up. Like, I was trying the whole time to have him like teach me, like, it's like, oh, show me, I want to learn, I'm very interested in like learning about like what it is you do. And I mean, he just got that thing down to a science. It took him all day long to set those things up, because if you set one thing up and one thing goes out, it messes this up, and then he has to go work on that, and it's like the next thing. So yeah, it was an all-day event setting it up. So I tried helping him, and we did every little thing we could to, you know, get it all done. But by the time it was time to go live, we were good to go. So it went really well. I was really happy.
That is awesome. That is just awesome. I love it. I wish I could have been there with you guys.
Oh my gosh. After we tell you guys what happened to us the first night, I don't know if people are going to want to go with us or never go with us. It was strange. It was crazy.
Nice.
It was a lot.
Very nice.
But I'm going to tell you this. We are going back. We're going back. But I would definitely say you need to be an absolute brave Bigfoot enthusiast to go to this location. It's not for everybody.
I'd go.
I could see you going there.
I could totally go.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think you guys are going to be really, really surprised at some information we tell you. Like, even some of the things that I went through. Yeah.
Hold that thought, because we're going to come back.
Okay.
In like 10 seconds. You got to keep quiet.
Okay.
because we're going to wait for Mr. Bumblefoot to start haying. Here we go, the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Talking adventures in Washington State out of Mount Adams. Jackie Harmon is with the Cryptid Report tonight. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on every major podcast network, as well as YouTube. Just hit subscribe. That's all I want in return. Damn it, I'm cheap. I'm a cheap date. Don't buy me anything. Just hit subscribe and ring that bell. That's all I want. And it's free for you to do that. And then we can make romantic chatter about weird stuff all night long. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Jackie Harmon, she likes the silent J, Yaki, here with the Cryptid Report, filling us in on the high strangeness of Mount Adams in Washington State, where her and her mountaineering boyfriend, Lee Strauss, went searching for Sasquatch and UFOs.
Absolutely.
Did you see any UFOs?
You know, we actually did see some very strange things flying around very quickly. I don't know exactly what they are, but we caught some on camera. We're actually still going through a lot of our audio footage, trail cams. I mean, we had a lot rolling. So I was actually going to share with you guys the night that we did the live with Rob. Okay, so we actually went live, and then we went live with Rob, and then we went back on, did another live right after we got off with Rob. So we both felt completely, perfectly fine. All day long, we just felt like nothing was going on. There wasn't anything weird in the area that made us feel uncomfortable or anything at all. It was just a perfectly lovely day of just, camping and having fun and setting things up and, eating and snacking and barbecue. It was just like a normal everyday camping day. Well, as soon as we got off of the last live, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I started feeling extremely sick to my stomach. And as if we were surrounded by something weird. Then all of a sudden we hear a tree knock. Okay. Now you got to remember, we're at this is the same location that I had. The light comes shining down. And so I'm looking at him and he's looking at me, and I'm like, we're both like, yeah, we hear that. And then just out of nowhere, we both get this complete feeling of dread. And it just creeped us both out. And immediately I'm just like, hey, I don't think I want to stay here. Okay. And I'm obsessed with camping. So is Lee. And we're like, we want to be out there doing our stuff, enjoying the night, looking for Bigfoot, UFO, whatever we're doing. But something just all of a sudden came over us like we did not belong there. We were being watched. I felt it in my gut, like they were just all around the trees watching us. It literally took over, like every ounce of my soul felt it. I immediately grabbed a flashlight and a laser. And for about probably a solid hour, I said to Lee, we're packing up and we're getting out of here. I'm not comfortable. And he said, yeah. He goes, I have that same feeling of complete dread. Like something's not right. And if we stay here, something bad's going to happen. And I said, I have that exact same feeling. And I tell him all the time, when something happens in the paranormal and you don't feel right and something's telling you that it's not right, it's time to go. Well, it was 12:40 in the morning when we were going through this. So just about right before 1 o'clock in the morning, we're packing up in the dark. Okay. I'm out there, and I kid you not, I've got this flashlight like this. This is my flashlight and my laser. And I swear, I'm like this, watching the trees. And this went on for, I bet you, over an hour. I could not keep my eyes off. I felt like the second I let that flashlight down, something was coming for us. And I was like, we got to pack up and we got to go. And he's like, yeah, let's go. And I said, are you okay? And he was like, well, I mean, what are we going to do? We got to go. And we were 3.5 hours away from home. So we start packing up, and we're just like throwing stuff in the truck as fast as we can. We're trying to get his equipment and the tent and you name it. And now it's time to go get the trail cams. Okay. And our trail cams are out in those trees that we don't want to go near. And so I said, we got to go out there. We got to grab them and let's get out of here. So we start walking up and getting all of our stuff. And so the only thing, we never saw any animals. That's the one thing we thought was really weird in that area was all day long, we're like, how come we've never seen any animals? Well, right at the time we're getting ready to like hightail it out of there, all of a sudden this deer walks past us and just stops and stares at us. And I'm just like, okay, that's weird. We haven't seen one animal the entire time we're here. And now all of a sudden it's like standing there staring at us, you know. And I keep telling him, like, I keep hearing something. It sounds like, well, we heard a couple of tree knocks, but it was just the creepiest feeling of just like, if you stay and you crawl your butt in that tent, we're coming for you. That's the feeling we got. And by the time we were done packing up, it was probably 2 hours later. And we're finally like getting on the road and heading out. And it was just the most uncomfortable of just like, if you don't go, something bad's going to happen. And I know you have said before that you've had feelings like that too. And I was even telling him, I'm like, listen, I've heard Dave say, when you get that gut feeling, you got to go.
Gotta.
Yeah.
You have to. I got a question about that, though, because when you walked into that area, when you guys first arrived in that area, and you're talking about not seeing any animals, how silent were the birds?
You know, that's the weird thing was we didn't hear anything in that location. All we ever heard in that location where we were at the last day we left was silence of no birds, no animals, but all we could hear was the wind. And that was it. Like when the wind would come in, and it would come in hard, it would be dead silent, dead still. And then all of a sudden this massive wind would come in, and we'd just be like, whoa, like where's this crazy wind coming from out of nowhere? And that's all we heard. And it's very strange because I remember telling him that during the day. I was like, you know, it's so dead quiet out here. Like it's deafening silence. It's like so strange how quiet it is. We heard nothing. But it's very weird because I just kept having this feeling like even in our first location, all day long, I had this weird feeling in this one location. And like I said, we'll tell you guys more about that. But again, in the second location, once again, I kept having this feeling in this one specific location. And I kept staring at it like, I know there's something there. I know something's watching us. And when we started hearing the tree knocks, it was coming exactly from where we said we heard, I was feeling that like we were being watched. And like by the time we were just like ready to get out of there, it was just intense. Like something felt evil. Like it didn't have a good feeling. It just, and I'll tell you, I don't use that word often, but this did not feel right. This felt like it had intent of harm. That was the last night we were there.
Oh my.
Yeah. It wasn't a good feeling.
Are you sure? And I'll tell you this. We had a situation at my Sasquatch site in 2022, a couple weeks before we had our sighting, where the minute we turned onto the logging road, Mark was there with me, and I was driving. And normally we go up late in the daylight, but we went up at just past dusk at this time, so it was darker. And the entire 5-6 miles to get there, it felt evil the entire way up. Like, I kept on seeing in the trees what looked to me like alien gray eyes looking at me. But every time we pulled up to it, it was like, oh, that's a tree. Like, it was total alien pareidolia
My God.
the entire way up. And Mark felt really heavy on his shoulders. And that night, when we got to the spot, usually we're there anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. We did not turn the truck off. We did not we did not close the doors. I even refused to take my son out of the vehicle. Now, normally we are wandering around, but the energy of something bad going to happen was all around us. And after about 20 to 40 minutes, we decided, let's just get the hell out of here. I don't know what was there, but I understand that exact feeling that you've had, because it feels so uncontrollable that danger is literally imminent, that if you even walk into the bush to take a pee, something is going to happen.
Yep.
And you're on alert. And the weird part about it is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if it wasn't this way for you, but for us, everything has an energy signature. It did not feel like a bear. It did not feel like a moose. It did not feel like a mountain lion. There was nothing, what I'm going to use the term, human about this.
Exactly. Same. We had the exact same feeling. As a matter of fact, and I think Lee has maybe a feeling of the fact that I personally had, one thing I can say is night one, I had a reaction to something that I have never had before. And like I said, I will tell you guys the details about that on Friday. And I'm just going to tell you, you're not going to want to miss that show. It is mind blowing what we went through. I would almost use the word.
Tell our radio audience. Tell our radio audience what it's about.
About like the night that we went.
Your new show.
Oh, okay. So our brand new show is on Friday night, starting Friday night, this Friday on June 28th, called Element 115 with Jackson Lee, here on Spaced Out Radio. And we will be live every single Friday night at 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we will be talking about everything that we have gone through and all past experiences. We will definitely be going into what we went through this past weekend that we just had. And that show alone, like before our show, before me going to Washington, Lee and I would say like, oh, I wonder what our weekend's going to be like. I wonder what we're going to talk about, because we fully knew no matter what happened, even if nothing happened, that was our plan. We were going to share what, our weekend was like on our first show. We had no idea that we would be sharing this crazy information. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there who's going to think that we're insane or maybe we're making it up or whatever they think. But I'm telling you, we lived through what we're going to tell you, and it is going to blow your mind. It's probably the most activity that I've ever been through. June 16th was my 54th birthday. I started doing the paranormal when I was 4, my 4th birthday. My dad took me out. That was my 50th anniversary. This was my actual special trip to go to this location for my birthday. So I don't know if it had anything to do with that. I don't know if it knew we were coming. I don't know if it remembers me. My dad used to tell me, like, growing up, like, you know, when you're with us, because there would be a lot of times where he would go with his friends or his, you know, brothers or cousins or nephews or whoever was going, and they might get some activity, but every single time I was there, the activity was way, way more, he would tell me. And he doesn't know if it's because I'm female or if they just remember me, because we did go to a lot of the same locations over and over and over. And so, you know, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but Lee seems to think that it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm female. I have different smells than maybe most people who go out there at being a female. You know, because most guys are the ones who go out and do this. You don't find a whole lot of women that go out looking for, you know, Sasquatch. You just don't, you know, you don't find it. So, you know, if you're a Bigfooter and you're female, male, whatever, this is by far the longest and the most activity I've probably ever had in all 50 years of my life in one night. Like,
Wow.
I've been through maybe an hour or two of experience where you're just like, whoa, and you're even blown away at the fact that you're just like, holy cow, that went on for an hour. You know what I mean? And you're just like, whoa, that was a long time. Well, this was all day and all night. And it got really intense, probably around 10 o'clock at night. And it went on till probably about maybe 6 o'clock in the morning. And it never stopped.
Why do you think, as we got about 3.5 minutes to go here, that this stuff always happens at night?
I actually do believe that they get more comfortable in the night. I think they're very curious about people, but they also are a bit standoffish. You know, I don't think they quite trust humans, because, you know, I said this to Lee when we were out there. You know, it's almost like Lee and I, or you, or whoever you're with, when you guys go to a location or we go to a location, it's almost like you're paying the price of who was there prior to you and how they acted. And if they were unkind, or if maybe they had guns and they were shooting, or whatever they were doing, it, you know, I feel like you're kind of like the next people to come in, and they don't quite know if they can trust you. They have to kind of like check you out. I do feel like they surround you in the daytime. They watch you. And I think they do get a little more comfortable about their curiosity and getting closer and interacting at night. So it's just something that I've experienced over my 50 years. And we just get a lot more activity at nighttime. And a lot of people in the paranormal seem to think that it happens more at night, but I've seen it both day and night. But this one was for sure nonstop the whole night. And I've just never seen anything like it before.
That is just so intense. And you'll go back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even after once you hear what happened, I think you'll be surprised to hear that I'll go back. But I will. I will go back. And I can tell you this, Lee and I have already talked about this. And because of what we went through, we know for a fact that only the bravest people we know would be able to go through what we just went through if it happened again. Because we would be afraid to take people who are afraid, or who might get freaked out or run, or, you know, maybe like get gun crazy and start shooting. You know, like we can't put ourselves in an unsafe situation. So, if we decide to take people, and I'm sure eventually we will, it's going to have to be people who are comfortable, like you. We matter of fact, we talked about you and we were like, oh, Dave would love this place. Like,
Dave
it's
would love that. Dave would
the
100%
hottest
love
place we've ever been. Yeah.
that. Well, as long as Lee's wearing his extra small shirts to flex his muscle to Sasquatch a little tighter, I'm good with that. Very, very good with that.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. Tell everybody about your new show, which will be with Lee on our Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel.
Yeah, you guys catch us every Friday night, starting this Friday night, June 28th, from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be called Element 115 with Jackson Lee, presented by Spaced Out Radio, obviously. We are actually part of the Spaced Out Radio family, and that's going to be the only place you'll find us. So if you're interested in catching our show, we'll be talking about all of our experiences. Plus, we will probably once in a while have maybe someone come on and talk with us, but it'll probably be like more us talking about our life and the things that we go through and our knowledge. And we just want to share all the, great things that we've been through and our experiences. We've grown up, doing this. So we just thought it would be a lot of fun to really, share that with you guys. So that's what we're going to do.
Jackie Harmon in the Cryptid Report. Thank you very much as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your car, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter or X. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoots, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, guess what? We've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow. That's a good show, Jackie Harmon.
Thank you. I can't wait to share our information with you guys. Like, I want to so badly. I know Lee's dying to talk about it, and I keep telling him, pipe down.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lee is.
We've given wee bit baby clues on our live, and we made a few videos that he posted that you'll get little baby clues about stuff. But I'm telling you guys, craziest night, I have to say, of my entire life. And that is no joke. No joke.
Right on. T-Bone, my man, where have you been hiding? Where have you been hiding, T-Bone? Be honest. Were you at the roller derbies again?
He's on Paranormal Holiday.
T-Bone loves a good roller derby.
Wow.
What do we have on tomorrow night? Tomorrow night, Paul Kenyon talking about the haunted Hinsdale house. How cool is that going to be?
That's really cool.
The haunted Hinsdale Oos. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
Right. I'm so excited to get you guys on the air here.
Oh my gosh. We're beyond excited to start our show. Like we've got so much stuff to share, and we're trying to put together an entire really awesome intro video that from our weekend. It's so much, Dave. It's so much. It's like, where do you start? What do you take? What do you use?
I hear you. We're the same way going in on Saturday or on Friday. Like Merle and our cameraman will arrive Friday around noon. Samantha Mowat will be arriving around the same time. And we're literally sitting down. We may cut the first part in a restaurant while we're getting lunch, where we can sit down and just kind of break down what is going on and what has happened. I wish the footage last year would have worked, because if we could have got that alien in the forest, we got what may be a picture.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't catch it walking through the trees.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm still going through even like this, just the normal pictures that we took. And I'm like zooming in to all the trees. I'm just like waiting to see something, just standing there, like watching us. And I'm like, every single picture, like, what is it? What is it? Is there anything there? Is there anything there? I'm checking out everything. I've listened to so much audio. We're not even done. We're nowhere near done listening.
That'll be 11 p.m. Eastern, Sherry. That'll be 11 p.m. Eastern on Friday night. Sweetly.
We'll be on right before Dave. Wait.
Yeah, Dave will be in the forest while it's going on, so Dave's going to have to listen to the replay. Sweet Robbie G is hosting right after that, which is cool. Big Bad Sweets. We love them around here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Love you, Rob.
Yeah. His red chin hair is the best. Love it. Jackie, stick around for a minute. I'm going to end the show here for our YouTube audience, because I do have to chat with you about the show kind of behind the scenes and everything. So if you could stick around for a couple minutes, that would be wonderbar.
Yeah.
All right. To the rest of you, I will see you tomorrow night with Paul Kenyon on the Haunted Hinsdale House show. We're going to learn all about that incredible haunting that I honestly don't know much about it. We're going to learn together. See you tomorrow, everybody. Much love.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.